Good morning, Uganda. It is the 9th day of July 2022. Eid Mubarak to the Muslim brothers and sisters across the globe. They are commemorating the day when Prophet Abraham was going to sacrifice his son just to fulfill God's command. But later on, he replaced the son with the lamb. And that's why Muslims are now slaughtering animals, that is goats, sheep, and cows, to express their faith to their creator. Thank you so much for always tuning in BTM TV. It is time for the dialogue. Here we are. My panelists are already here. I'll be introducing them shortly. But let's first, share with what happened in this week. Things that shouldn't be forgotten. We should start from outside Africa because the Japanese former Prime Minister, that is Mr. Abe, he was shot. Rushed to the hospital where he subsequently died. Former Prime Minister, one of the longest serving actually, was shot dead. And also here in Angola, their former president, that is His Excellency Dos Santos, also one of Africa's longest serving, presidents. He died at the age of 79. That was on Friday. That's when he was pronounced dead in Spain, where he was nursing a disease that is yet to be undisclosed, rather disclosed by the Angolan government. This man served that country for quite a long time. To his lovers, they described him as an architect of peace. After ending that long civil war that was led by Mr. Savimbi, who was also killed in 2002, if you do remember. So some people branded him an architect of peace because eventually he met this group of Savimbi, struck a peace deal with them, and then tranquility was returned that country. But then his rule, that's according to his critics, it was soiled down by corruption, violation of human rights, and so many things. So his critics, they really criticize his governance. But he died at 79. And in the UK, Boris Johnson is going to become the third prime minister to step down, following Theresa May and also David Cameron. This is really, challenging, strange how these people do step down. Boris Johnson, remember last week, but what? After images were, shared of him appearing on a certain party that was organized during that time when COVID-19 was at its peak, where the UK had come up with policies that, were discouraging or made it illegal for people to party or congregate. But the Prime Minister himself was seen somewhere. And then people pushed for his resignation because he had betrayed the British people. And the man said that he's going to step down, both as a leader of his political party, and then eventually when they get a replacement as Prime Minister, he will quit being the Prime Minister of Uganda. Here in Uganda, the teachers later on called off their industrial action, which had lasted for close 3 weeks. This was after they met President Museveni at Kolo Airstrip. Remember, it was the first time they were meeting him. They had met him earlier. Then from there, they met the vice president. Then they also selected to meet the public service officials to see if their grievances. What were the grievances about? To strike a balance in terms of salary aspect, to have the arts teachers also be paid equally like the science teachers, or at least closer. But looks like that is not going to happen because an angry Museveni, whom they met on Saturday, on Monday at Collier Street, told him that he just wanted to hear one thing from them. That is going back to classrooms and teach Ugandan children. Not everybody is happy with what they are earning. He gave them an example of the soldiers who earn little, but they continue to work hard to bring peace in this country. So he was so angry and bitter and told them to go to work. And then on Tuesday, according to the Secretary General of UNATU, that is Mr. Philbert Babuma, announced that they were indeed calling off the strike. In the same week, the government of the Republic of Uganda announced that it was adopting Kiswahili. It was pushing it to be taught in primary and secondary schools. It's becoming now a mandatory subject. Here they were fulfilling or implementing the 21st, East African Community Summit directive who suggested that the member states of the East African Community should adopt Kiswahili as the official language. Welcome to Dialogue once again. I'm privileged to have Mr. Fagil Mandy here. He's the former chairman of UNEP, former RDC, former commissioner, that is the Minister of Education. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen viewing out there. I wish you good viewing.
Mr. Tim Levi Akonapesa comes from the NRM Secretariat. He's also a political analyst. Also, is a human rights activist. Are you ready?
Yeah, humanitarian.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good morning to the viewers. And EDL Duha Mbaraka, to you, my brother, and then to the Muslim fraternity. Thank you for being here and watching us.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rogers Barikayomwe, an educationist. I'm a professor, a politician, because he's the chairman Labour Party, and a political analyst. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thank you, Idrissa. Happy Eid to you and all the Muslim brothers. I'm happy to be here this morning.
Doctor, let me start with you. I need to hear your comment on your thoughts on Mr. Dos Santos, who just passed away on Friday at the age of 79, one of Africa's longest-serving, presidents. What do you remember about him? What is that you have to say about him as a politician? Also?
Yeah, I think he was a revolutionarist, and you see the age is almost the same age as our revolutionary leaders here in Uganda. And Dos Santos at least tried to have peace. And one thing I liked about him is, even with all resistance from the fanatics, he bowed down and left power. And actually, what I like is that he had mentored someone who later turned a bit against him, but he mentored leadership, and he agreed that however much he wanted, he could not cross a certain point. And here he is at 79, he dies in peace, not in power. His age is close to some of our revolutionary leaders in Uganda, and it's a lesson to them that actually it is not good to die in power. And one of it is the daughter was, because they also have oil, she was heading the oil company. These are the kind of projects you are beginning to see here. But it brought her problems, and actually, I don't know, I think she's still a prisoner, or if
she
anything.
Had her assets frozen, actually.
Yeah, so this thing of like, though he was a good revolutionary and he put his mark on the African continent, but the long time he stayed in power. You know, they say power corrupts, and corrupts absolutely. And not only him, even I say the citizens also corrupt you, because when it is your time to leave, to rest, they will hang on you. Just like it's happening in Uganda. The people who want to cause problems to our dear president, who is 78, coming to the Santos's time, they want him to die in power, which is very unfortunate. And later, some of them are trying to force his children into that kind of impunity, whereby they will be at the helm of things, and yet they are causing problems to them. So it is a big lesson to all African countries and revolutionaries that there is a time for everything. There is a time to rest. Let people rest in peace. And it is not that you have to let your children, force them on the population, because unfortunately Dos Santos has left his lineage in trouble with the politics there. So it's unfortunate, but we thank God for his contribution for peace in Angola.
Okay. Mr. Tim, I have
Yes.
something to say about Mr. Dos Santos.
I think what I can just say is being the former president, Dos Santos, had his own history being a leader, a revolutionist, and a leader for close to 38 years. Of course, you expect that there have always been hiccups, ups and downs in a leadership. But he's someone who had the iron fist, and he knew which angles to take, but particularly played a big role in trying to broaden and strengthen the area of oil sector.
Okay.
But I think towards the end of his reign, he began blundering a little by, I think, including some of his family members and so on. And of course, you know, public reactions towards issues of nepotism and so on. But nonetheless, you know, Dos Santos has been one leader that has been very good for 38 years. Angola has really gone high, being ranked among the top 10, I think, countries in Africa, in as far as the economical, you know, development is concerned.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's what I have.
Mr. Fagil, do you want to share anything about this Horn of Africa's longest-serving president?
First of all, I want to refer to a recent event which took place at the Uganda National Cultural Center when we dramatists, playwrights, actors and directors and filmmakers, we are remembering the late Omugavo Nduga. Omugavo Nduga was a Ugandan who had contributed greatly to Ugandan national culture through being a playwright. By the time he died, he had actually written at least 37 plays. Wow. You know, and when I was invited to talk, the whole house was full. About 370 people came really to remember. And my first point was, we are not here to mourn the death of Omugavo Nduga. We are here to celebrate his achievement. So even when now, as you ask the question, Dos Santos, we are not mourning, we are celebrating. He was a great African builder. He led a country through all sorts of problems, and I can say he died a peaceful death. So the best all of us can do is, how much are you contributing, you and me watching here or taking part in this program and watching this program, how much can we contribute to building Africa? And I want to quickly, again you reminded me, to say that for me and a few other friends, actually in September, we are going to launch a program which will not only remember Dos Santos, but will go back even to the roots of Pan-Africanism to build Africa, heavily gifted by God, but yet the least developed in the world as a continent. We are going to launch a program, small, called the fourth heritage initiative. The fourth heritage initiative, meaning we have gone through heritages like the heritages of tribalism, where we are very, very divided, the heritages of slave trade, the heritage of colonialism. Now we are today, this is the fourth heritage. And we are saying this fourth heritage initiative, we are going to launch a program where we are going to try and train Ugandans and Africans to change their mindsets so that we can become the revolutionaries, the builders of the country Uganda and Africa as a whole. That program will be launched at the Uganda National Cultural Center.
Is it a 6 killer mind?
Yeah, it's partly, we are going to address actually mainly. First of all, the program is called the fourth Heritage Initiative, that we are initiating a program which will deal specifically with 6 killer mindsets which have stopped Africans from growing. The first killer mindset, meaning I call them the 6 diseases of the mind. Remember that the mind is what controls what you do, what I do, what you people do. So we have identified, and from history and the development of the things we have gone through in our history, that one of the 6 killer mindsets we are suffering from as Africans, and we nearly believe that it's okay, was a victim mentality. Secondly, we suffer from an inferiority complex. Thirdly, we suffer from a self-hatred mentality. Fourthly, we suffer from a copycat. We prefer to copy what the Muzungus, the other people have done, rather than do our own things. Now, 5, We follow, we move like a herd of animals without listening. You know, herdism, group think. Are you getting me? So we lose the individual, we lose the individual power. Are you getting me? And then, of course, the sixth mindset is the elite dilemma. It seems the higher you go, higher up in our system of education, the more confused you become. You are not a creator of jobs.
How do you just?
You are not creating jobs. This is what we are saying, that the further we go, we are not saying there's something wrong with the degrees we get, but the further you go, the more your initial energies, the giants in you, the more they disappear. Are you getting me? And that's the elite dilemma. So you find somebody...
The higher as in terms of age?
In terms of school ladders. The way the system has been set up. You shrink, you withdraw, you dry up, your energy to work is reduced. The degree people...
Mr. Fagil, you sound like you're conquering with a prominent politician in this country who said that the problem of this country is the elite.
Yes, I agree with it. I agree with it. That's why we have identified that, and we have identified it from studying the history and studying our condition. Are you getting me? And as I was saying, these are the 6 killer mindsets which we shall be exploring and looking for solution. How do we replace, for example, the elite dilemma with another mindset? How do we, for example, create a superiority feeling? How do we create a feeling of not victim but winner, victor? How do we create a spirit of self-esteem, self-love? How do you create originality? Are you getting me? So this is the program we are going to launch, and it will be going on at the National Theatre on the 12th of September. So everybody is invited, particularly people who work on televisions, because they are biggest teachers, people who work in the mass media, they are the biggest changers. Teachers are invited, organizations are invited, those who feel they have got a role to play in building Uganda, building Africa, to make it a #1 continent.
You know, I'm sorry, this has refused to sink into my mind. The intellectual what? One of the killer of the minds?
The elite dilemma. Dilemma is a confusion. Yes. You don't know which way to take. You know? I mean, one of the biggest problems we have, and this is things which we need to explain, the higher you go under the current system of education in Uganda, are you getting me? And even in Africa, the more you even get confused whether you are an African or not an African. The more you believe, you don't know whether you are Mzungu or not a Mzungu. You even don't believe even in your cultural name, even your traditions and so on and so forth. So you remain like a shadow with degrees, but the thinking, you are not rooted into the culture of your country.
So the problem there is with the education system.
It is partly, absolutely. And it is deliberate. That's why for us we are going to be very concerned with, in fact, on that day I am going to make
what kind of changes are you suggesting?
Don't open the bag. Don't open the bag. Let be the bag. I will make a presentation, for example. Me, I've been assigned. I am one of the board members, and I will make a presentation on what education for Uganda, what education for Africa awake. What education? What do we need in the education system? And I'm not talking only about classrooms, but education through the mass media, education through the community, education through the home. What is it that we revolutionize in the name of the De Santos, are you getting me? And other revolutionaries, because they've been there. So we want to say we are joining that energy, and I'm inviting all the people who have got that thinking of rebuilding Uganda, rebuilding Africa. We are launching this program on 12th of September.
I shouldn't preempt you. Let's wait for that.
But I invite you.
Thank you so much, and we shall sure be there by God's grace.
So otherwise, really, that's what I'm saying, that always when we lose such great men for Africa, or great women, we should remember what role we can play in order to contribute or even add on what they have done. You get me?
Well said.
Yeah.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
The teachers' code of the instruction. You know, for the last 2 weeks we are discussing this. You know, one writer, it was actually a South African professor who wrote and said that if you want to destroy a nation, don't waste your time using atomic bombs or the ballistic missiles. Just, kid education. Allow students to copy examinations. Because eventually, you're going to have people masquerading as doctors, And so patients are going to be dying at their hands. True. You're going to have engineers who are going to be constructing buildings that are going to be perishing. You're going to have economists who are going to make the countries lose money. Incompetent people, in other words. So anything that has to do with education, it is something that we should all handle seriously. But the way the government of Uganda was handling this issue, some people say it was not handling it in a good way, because they let teachers, I mean, these are teachers who had grievances. Some people believe that they were fighting for a good cause, because they were advocating for, a fair salary enhancement. But it didn't work out for them. They were actually sent back to school. They agreed to call off the strike, went back to classes. Like I said in my introduction, they made the president who was angry, and they said that there is no money to give everybody. They are going to be increasing people's salaries, in phases. They now went back to school. But the question is, are they motivated? Why in classrooms are they going to be giving the Ghanaian children the best?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, one of the main values or objectives of an institution, or rather someone that has a particular profession, first is to exhibit such skills in a humanly way. And of course the results, and mostly the rewards come after you have exhibited what you have rather acquired, or what you are skilled to do. But I am thankful to UNATU for calling off this industrial action, because one, the victims are the children. Rather, those are people that are much affected. And UNATU being a unifier, we had expected that being the bridge between the teachers and the government. Because the government at the moment is kind of constrained, can't handle lots of these activities at a go. And for the president to come out and have a dialogue with them, that was what we have all been advocating for from day one. That instead of throwing the threats and then trying to intimidate the teachers and so on, it's not necessary and it's not called for. The best is just dialogue and find out how can we amend the issues. So I think one of the main resolutions was that, okay, fine, we're going to look into the matter of the salary enhancement for the arts teachers, like we did with the science, but let it be for the next financial year. So calling off the industrial action, of course, is a temporal action, and it can even come tomorrow if there's any other disagreement. But calling it off, and then we having the teachers going to their professions, or to teach, is something that should benefit the ones that have been affected. Because you see, the country has not been learning for the last 2 years that were affected. The country was in lockdown. So the parents of the children that rather should be at the disposal of acquiring the knowledge are not impacted. And so even them paying the money, the PTA, because we're looking at those ones that are in UPE and USE programs. They are the ones that are much affected, because they have the willingness to learn, but of course, when the teachers call for the strikes, they are defeated. Yeah. So me, I'm happy that the teachers have gone to work. For us as analysts and those that are projecting information rather to the government, we shall always continue also embarking that there should be an enhancement. Because for example, I have an uncle. He's a teacher in Teso College. But he had to position himself to even begin taking extra lessons from other schools to pick, a few monies. Yeah. But, the salary that he's getting from Teso College alone is not enough to sustain him as an individual. So I think in one way or another, it is one thing that the government should be looking at this. If the increment the scientists are getting is something that is, is affecting the arts, section. We all need these disciplines, the sciences and then the arts, just like senior fagil Mandy here stated, that we need these disciplines. These are going to be from the foundation, from the roots, into what you want to become tomorrow. So you don't want a dissatisfied teacher to come to the public or to come and teach your child and is dispelling wrong information. How do you expect, how do you benefit as a parent? Of course, that's why you're talking about to quack people, quack engineers, quack economists coming to give you statistics, and then World Bank is rejecting. You expect all these things to happen. So me, I want to give a vote of thanks to the president first for accepting the dialogue with the united body. And then
are you sure it was a dialogue?
Yeah, it was a dialogue. Because you see, if it was not a dialogue, I wouldn't expect the meeting that occurred last week or so. It was a dialogue, and sitting down and agreeing with these people, and then I think after a day after the meeting, the call of the industrial action is a good initiative, and I think that's what the united body was expecting, and they achieved it. So it's a vote of thanks.
So you think the government handled this in a good way?
Government handled it in a good way.
We shouldn't expect any repercussions.
No, of course the repercussions, you can't predict what is going to happen tomorrow. But you have to sort what is currently affecting the...
Let me first state this.
Okay, you can't predict what is going
currently,
to happen. But it
I don't know whether I've been following performance of Ugandan, students. There's actually a slight drop in the performance of students who are in, government schools, public schools. The private schools are really doing so much better. And the reason is motivation. The teachers in private schools seem to be much more motivated as compared to those in public schools. Now, some people are worried that these teachers, especially arts now, and remember arts subjects are more than the science subjects.
Yes.
Because science subjects we're talking about 3. There's examinable subjects. And then arts, for a senior 4 student, needs like I think 8. Now most subjects are arts. Now, if the arts teachers are not contented, they are in class, you don't expect them to give out their best. So we expect to see a continued, low performance from the students who go to public schools. And one of the things that we are going to cause that is this discriminatory salary enhancement.
Yeah, you see.
Don't you think you should be worried?
Of course, you see, there's a worry in one or two, ways. But now that we leave it solely to the Ministry of Education and the policies. And I think for motivation, just like we stated here, that the salary increment is going to be something that is going to be assessed within the next financial year. It's enough motivation to an arts teacher that, okay, fine, let me give it, because these are short-lived things, 12 months, and then eventually we are sitting back. But it should begin with UNATU and then the civil society organizations that are in policy making for education in Uganda, sitting together and then formulate some of this on how the arts teacher should be enhanced. There should be a harmonized way in how you handle such information. And I think the senior here, Fagil, he has been in the system long enough.
Mr. Otim, I want to put this question to you.
Yes.
Realistically speaking, we are looking at 2 teachers now in a particular school who have been teaching the same staff room for quite a long time. One is teaching history and the other is teaching biology. They are both employees of the government.
Yes.
And now one is put at 4 million and the other is at 1 million. Really, how do you expect their relationship to be like?
Of course, you expect a rift. That's why I was telling you that there's a way their body that governs them has assessed and analyzed this. By the time you see someone pick up his tools and is going back to duty, it indicates that there is something that they have equally achieved.
Yeah, I think just to add on what Levi has said, I think let's mark a stage, because this is a change. This is a revolution that is taking place. And it begins with step 1, step 2. For, as he has said, for a whole president of a country to accept to come and meet the teachers of the country together with their organization is a major step. Number 2, even for the teachers to have agreed through their
a major step. Allow me to chip in here, Mr. Mandy, because at least I know what transpired in their meeting. Some of the leaders of UNAT were not allowed to speak. The president was like, I don't want to hear anything. I've already heard what you're advocating for is enhancement of the arts teachers' salaries. I don't want to hear that. All I want to hear is that you have gone back to teach. That is how the meeting was run.
Yeah, but you see, that's the result of the meeting. Are you getting me? That the strike was put off.
Now going
And
back
for
to
me,
school,
I think that is a very,
to
very
teach,
important
they are
step.
not doing it out of choice, but they have been pushed.
No. I don't think so. Let's first
As someone who has
understand how things
supervised
work.
it,
How do
as
things
someone
work?
who has previously supervised these facilitators,
Yeah.
teachers, do you think that such a person who has been left with no choice, but rather to be pushed to go back and serve, is he going to be motivated enough? Or these are people that are going to be not giving quality education, something that had begun with him?
Me, I think that also the teachers have learned through this process. Me, I'm just grateful that one, the incident took place, the meeting took place, the strike was called off. Now what is left is how are they going to perform in the class? And that one is the normal question one would ask. How are they going to perform? How are the arts teachers going to relate with the science teachers? That is left now to step number 2, which I think now was a major eye-opener during the discussion. I think even the president, just like a lot of us, even some people, for the first time came out, and you remember the general comment that has come out in the country, that there was no need, for me I didn't believe in it, to differentiate the science teachers from the art teachers, and some paying them. That was a wrong step. But also government can learn from a mistake. You know, there's a saying that you can make a mistake, but if you learn from the mistake, me, I'm sure even the government learned that was maybe a wrong decision, and it's a good process. What is left now, for me, what I see as an opportunity is one, and if given an opportunity, what I would urge the government to do, one, first of all, my fellow teachers out there, congratulations on putting off. I always say, we teachers cannot behave like every person on the street. A teacher is special. We are selected specially, and I keep saying, actually, even in terms of religion, that when God created the human being, the child, the profession that God or we have created on earth to shape what God created in a baby into something lies in the hands of the teacher. So my fellow teachers, that's your job. It's good you have gone back to teach. Now for us, we need even the organization, even the members of parliament, all of the citizens, we need now to guide the government to contribute. Like this, for example. One, I would like to say that government carries out its promise they have made to the teachers that next financial year. Let a promise be a promise. Number 2, I would like us to look at the bigger image of the teacher. For me, I think we are missing the point. We are looking at only salary. Salary alone does not produce a good worker. You have said previously, partly rightly, but also partly from what I've gained. Because for me, having worked as a commissioner for inspectorate and now as a self-employed education consultant, I know what is taking place in private institutions and government institutions.
We shall come to that,
One of
Mr.
the major
Fagil.
things that is taking place in
We
the
shall
private
come to
schools.
that, and then you describe for us a teacher and whether this, yes, I know some people have already said this, that, you know, this is godly, you know, being a teacher, this is you expect your reward from God. We shall come to that, and you describe for us how a teacher ought to behave and ought to express his grievances. Let me first bring in Mr. Dr. Rogers. How the government handled this situation. You are an educator yourself, although working in a private entity, but also I want you to imagine these teachers who are working in the same environment. You know, one earning 4 million. Let's speak realistically. Let's not pretend. Be ideal. Let's be realistic. Somebody's earning 4 million, the other 1 million, and they are sitting in the same staff room. The kind of relationship, you know.
Edrisa, and unfortunately, you know, I proved to you that all these subjects are sciences. I told you, like, someone can say I'm a political analyst, but also a political scientist. Who is scientist? Indeed, in this very studio, I predicted 4 months ago what would come, because this enhancement had been debated that they are going to give the science teachers. Yeah. And I told you what will happen. So the humanities, I predicted, and that's why I also disagree with my brother here that you can predict what will come also 5 months ago. 2 months ago, I predicted that they were going to have mushrooming strikes from teachers to other organizations. But this is what even everyone is not seeing, and it's going to happen in a year's time. For example, we knew the science, the arts teachers were more than the science teachers. Attention was put on the list who were the science teachers. And you see what Uganda's education has gone through. I will tell you, and fagil Mandy, an expert, is here. Uganda's education is at its lowest since independence. I'm a teacher, I go to the classroom. I can authoritatively say education is suffering its lowest since independence.
Since independence?
And I will state it like this.
Not so long ago, I was saying, I heard that our education was actually doing well. Actually, we had second, is it Nigeria?
From who? Who did you hear from?
No, I'm in the system. I know the equating system. But not to dwell so much on it, let me show you that actually, now these people want their salaries to be enhanced, the arts teachers, and they want sort of to equate towards the scientists, are also not the majority teachers. The majority teachers are in the private institutions. I hope everyone agrees. Both teachers and lecturers. In private institutions, there are more lecturers. Now, when there is no minimum wage, the shift which you are seeing, when we organize and the private teachers don't offer their services, that's when this country will know that what we are predicting is right. So for you now, the attention is on the art teachers public, but we have not looked at, for example, I'll give you an example, whereby a lecturer, same qualifications we say, in the same land, in a public institution gets about 7 million. In a private does not get 1 million. And there is no minimum wage, so the private organization exploits the teachers for that advantage. These people you're talking of who are getting 4 million and 1 million, there are some teachers in private institutions who are not getting even 500,000. And they are the majority for a fact. So what will happen if they also withdraw their services? Because I told you, as a leader of Labour Party, they don't take it for granted that the service of the private teachers cannot be withdrawn across the country. So what we are going to see is what I've been telling the people in government, that these things need consultants like Fagil, Mandy and I, but they try to trash it.
So what are you trying to say? You're portraying the government not to be a bad employer. When you compare it with the private, you're actually trying to say that the government is actually doing better in terms of payment as compared to the...
Exactly. Now, what we do is firefighting. Right now, it was first scientists because they strike. Now we look at, but now we are forgetting that the majority are actually in private. So even if you put these high salaries for the teachers in the public, but there are those who you're not addressing, who are the majority in the private. So we are not about to see the end of these things. And what I'm showing you also, the private teachers at one time can strike. The private lecturers across Uganda can say we are not going to, just like I saw you told her, private the drivers saying that they are starting on Monday not to strike. So that's what I'm showing.
Private teachers also staging and destruction.
It's going to
happen. The day you do that is the day your employer fires you. And then remember, there's always somebody ready to replace you.
That is true.
No.
That is in private.
No.
What happens in private is private. That's what they say.
No. What will happen is they will all, haven't you seen, and taxi drivers, haven't you seen a day where all taxi
that is different. It is totally different. Because they talk about public transport. But here we talk about private institutions.
But
I'm working in your school, Dr. Rogers. And then before you hired me, we agreed. You asked me how much I was willing to work for. Then we agreed. And then
let me give you an example.
How do I stand to stage and destruction?
Edrisa, you know all these private institutions.
I do.
Let's say Ndeje University. If all the lecturers of Ndeje woke up and said, we are not offering our services. How long does it take Ndeje University to restructure?
But then I will ask you.
No,
under
it's
the
a point of thought.
No, private sector. I want to believe that when you were getting, or when you were being appointed, there were some terms and conditions.
That you
And
subscribed
also
to?
there
No,
was a salary scale that
the same terms you're talking about, and let me highlight you, are the same terms which are in public. But what I'm showing you, people are not necessarily in the private because they don't want to be in the public. It is because, and fagil, Mandy, the expert, will tell you, it's because there are limited slots in the public. Many teachers would want to go to the public, but he will tell you that for the last, let's say, 4 years or 5 years, the public has not been recruiting. So, no, you're not going to
Is
say
that what the government had
to
in mind when it was asking teachers to go back or to quit?
Why don't we look at it
There are
this
people
way?
who are ready to replace them. That's what you're trying to say.
Mr.
Yes.
Moderator, may I suggest we look at it this way, okay? That we have seen a major step taking place. The teachers have come out collectively, nationally, and eventually all the scientists and the artist teachers have come together to put up a strike, complaining about their salary structure. Yes, the strike took place for so many days, but the strike has been put down. May I suggest now we look at, in order to contribute towards what is next now. What I would like to suggest is that let this be an opportunity for government now to actually address the real issue, not just the symptom, because the symptom is the small salary. I suggest that government uses this episode, which has taken place, to look at, one, the entire image of the school teacher. Whether primary, secondary, or university, whatever.
Or
a
private,
teacher should have a clear program in this country to be recognized, to be shaped into an image of respect. I must say, as you have rightly put so, that our education system is at its lowest, and I agree with you. And I've been in this education system since 1971 actively, as a teacher trainer, as a headmaster, as a DEO, as now as a commissioner, as chairman of UNEB. You get me? So, me, I think, use this respite while looking at the salary structure as promised. Fine. But let's expand the image. Let's expand
now
the
that he
image.
recorded it, he said it. I want to know what you mean that our education is at its lowest.
That's not the issue right now.
No,
I'm
because
talking about
let me
know.
qualify for him. I'm a teacher, and I'm telling you, all my colleagues are teachers.
Yeah.
Because if you
no,
compare
wait, I spend 8 hours.
in the region, in the region.
Let me give it to you. I spend 8 hours in the teaching profession. Fellow teachers are giving 20% of their service with the pay from COVID, and it is affecting both. First of all, the ones in public. Let's say a lecturer of Makere, because that one is not supervised, he will run to a private to get whichever money he will get to the private. So he will give what Makere University gives him, he will not give them 50% of his effort. The ones in public, in private, ever since COVID, the slices were sliced and everything.
Salaries?
Yes. So because realistically they have to leave, they will go elsewhere. You had many teachers went to border. Yeah? So I see people there, and first of all, even the attendance, even if you went across all schools now and you look at attendance, in universities, the teachers are giving less than 50%. I have statistics for this. The syllabuses are not being complete by 50%. The curriculum. All these universities, I don't know where National Council is. They are pretending. Let them do an inspection of the national curriculum. It's not being taught to a level of less than 50%.
Well, then we should shift that blame to their supervisors. What are they doing?
But I can add on what he has built. You have built as far as the teachers are concerned. Now I want to build for you and the audience out there. This is not to take us away from what is the next step as far as the teachers are concerned. One, first of all, the product that is coming out of our school system at primary school level, at all level, at HSC, at university, as an education consultant with so many years of experience and brilliant experience, are you getting me? The product is as useless as dead. One, the person produced cannot speak better.
The product you're talking about, a graduate.
Yes, all of them. They cannot speak better. And I'm talking about speaking like I am speaking, like you are speaking. Are you getting me? One. Two, the product cannot even use their energy more constructively. That's why they have failed to create their own jobs and even offer the
What
services.
percentage are we talking about? What percentage are we talking about?
No, please, if you are taking, because we're not here to explain a research.
No, because when you generalize, Mr. Fagil, at times it looks unfair.
But you don't have enough time to do this.
If you told us at least this percentage.
No, okay. I will not tell. For example, I'll give you an overall. Are you getting me? I will tell you, for example, that 98% of the schools today in Uganda, primary, secondary, don't teach physical education. That's a fact. I am speaking it like a commissioner who carried out that. 98%. Any education system which does not develop the body and the mind and the soul is a failed education system. No wonder we are producing lazier and lazier people, particularly from the school system. Are we producing better workers from the school system? The answer is no. Most of the unemployed people in Uganda are those who have been to school. Those who have remained on the land and so on and so forth have remained. So the quality of the product, are you getting me? By the time now is at its worst level, and we will better get it clear. Let us be scrutinized. That's why, by the way, luckily enough, National Curriculum Development Center at the lower secondary has come out with the new curriculum which is being followed now. And what is characterizing the new curriculum at lower secondary is that the students are going to run the bigger part. Because presently, the teacher runs the whole process 99% of the time. Today. So the learner is usually seated there, vegetating, not even thinking, not even praying, not even debating, not even doing drama, not even doing practical science, not even doing anything. So in a way, we are producing a dismembered student out of our school system. So that's enough. The product needs to look at it. Let's speed up what NCDC has done, increase it, let it run. You heard already recently, they're even talking of dismantling the one of A level. Why? Because it is producing a failure person. Now, to jump to the other question, I want to complete this point. That now we have had this opportunity for the Ministry of Education to focus on the teachers and a government also to come out, a whole president to come out and discuss with the teachers union and the teachers. I would like, as an education consultant, as a senior citizen of this country, as a Pan-Africanist, that we need one overall. We have never put emphasis on workers of a country. We have never seriously put emphasis on building capacities and abilities of the population. Although Africa, we have the largest and fastest growing population today. Are you getting me? We need now government to look at the entire spectrum of the workers. Who discusses workers in this country apart from the trade unions and so on? It is not something. Any country that has developed, including those which we normally say we were at the same level at the time of independence. What they did that somersaulted them into development was to concentrate on the human capacity building. We don't have a clear program of human capacity building in this country. Number two, we have not actually tried to build the image of the teacher. And I must say, as you were saying, Doctor, the teacher's image today is at its lowest. Ever since I was growing up, and ever since I went for teacher training, and ever since I've been teaching, the picture of the teacher, who at one time, even if a teacher entered the church, everybody would say, our teacher has entered. Today, who turns around when the teacher passes by? Are you getting me? So the government needs to look at not only the salary, but put together a commission or a team to look at how to boost, one, the human resource capacity building, all the workers. Number two, especially because of the special role of a teacher, how do we build the image of the teacher, including the salary? That's where we need to go, and I think government has done. If we don't change the thinking of the teacher, we don't change the image of the teacher by creating that glorious role model person, we are killing the country. And partly why we are going down in a lot of areas, including discipline, is because the teacher has gone down.
Yeah,
So
because
me,
he's
I
the
think that's a
biggest role
problem
model in
that
this
must be
country.
picked
When
on.
has a teacher ever been better than the current one?
Yeah, when I started teaching, for example, one of the reasons I will tell you why I went to Chambogo after senior 4 to Lubiri Secondary School.
Well, tell us how a teacher was
because
like.
I admired a teacher. One, first of all, I had learned because I had been a head boy, I had been a class monitor. I had been used to taking part in change making. Are you getting me? As a student leader. And I went to Chambogo to go and be a transformer. That's why I am among the first 7 teachers who did physical education in Uganda.
Mr. Fagil.
Are you getting me?
Mr. Fagil,
Yes.
a listener who's watching you now,
Uh-huh.
of course, he's listening to you with a wide ear.
Yes.
One, you are an authority on education. You've been in the ministry, you've been chairman, UNEB, and now when you say that education in Uganda is at its lowest, probably you are comparing it with education at a certain time, maybe in the past. And now they would like to know, in terms of comparisons, compare the current teacher and the previous teacher. Now,
Of your time.
if a teacher has degenerated now,
Yeah.
tell us a teacher of your times, how that teacher looked like.
One, first of all, let me tell you one thing, all right? When I was being trained as a teacher in Chambogo, I discovered that these people training me were trying to make me a multi-skilled person. And they did that, I'm telling you. There are certain books we studied, there are certain courses we did. Are you getting me? They tried that. A teacher used to be multi-skilled. But today the teacher is mono-skill, only writing on the chalkboard and speaking. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? The teachers do not know. That's why a thing like COVID has helped in a way. It has got the teachers to learn a few other skills. That's one of the biggest problems, that we have a teacher in front of children who cannot offer even to show any other skill which they have got. Mono skill, only speaking. Number 2, the image, the respect. Are you getting me? The discipline. The discipline a teacher was known. That's why when I was growing up, teachers are wiseacres. Why? Because they seemed to know everything. They seemed to do everything correct. That correctness has ceased. Are you getting me? Look at the discipline of the teachers today. Are they dressing
What do you
the
think
best?
has caused this?
Yeah, but let me complete the picture. Are you getting me? Okay. That is what I am looking at. One, the most important one is the multi-skilling. That these teachers have become less and less skilled today. So that in front of the children, the teacher cannot offer a role model. Are you getting me? Number 2, the methods of teaching which the teachers are using now, all the teachers across the board, including nursery, they are lecturing. They are no longer looking at the children. They are not teaching. They are not developing the skills. Most of the teachers are teaching now because they want the children to pass exams. Whereas a teacher should teach in order to achieve competences, abilities. What skills are the children developing? What attitudes are they making? What new knowledge am I equipping them? Majority of the teachers, and when I'm speaking about majority of teachers, I'm talking about 99, nearly 0.9 teachers are not teaching skill-oriented. It's not learner-centered. They are lecturing. Are you getting me? Then, of course, the total image, the discipline I've mentioned about, right? And you are saying what has brought about this. One, the poor training of the teacher. Remember, I'm speaking authoritatively because my first job for the first 4 years, I was a teacher at Nyondo TTZ, a trainer of teachers. I was at Namutamba. I was at Shumoni. I was at then I was a headmaster. Are you getting me? Sure. So the teacher product made in the teacher training colleges, including universities, I'm thinking, lack the basic skills of teaching and learning. They lack the content of skills. Are you getting me? All right. Then, of course, the other point is the teachers have not helped on the job. They have not been supervised. They have not been evaluated. How many people go into a classroom to watch teachers teaching? I will tell you that is one of the weakest points. Many teachers enter the school and they live there and live there, work there until they retire when nobody has gone to go and evaluate them.
True.
Any worker needs evaluation. Every worker needs supervisors.
What about the supervisors from the ministry?
And the supervisors are as weak as the teachers we are talking about. Remember that the supervisors themselves were also trained in the weak.
Well, if that is true, then we have a big problem.
Yes.
Because if the supervisors are also weak, and the ones that
that's why we are
supervise
saying that we need to look at the bigger picture now. Look at the entire picture of the image of the teacher. Scrutinize what skills. I mean, it's like this idea which was fronted that every teacher must go and get a degree. It was not the question of a degree.
Okay.
Nobody has analyzed what was wrong with the teachers in the classroom. Okay, it's not a degree. Does it mean that everybody with a degree is naturally a better teacher? No.
Okay.
The answer is no. Are you getting me?
Let's take a break, gentlemen. When we come back, we shall still be discussing education and a teacher, how Mr. Fagil will tell us how a teacher ought to be. And also, I'd like Dr. Rogers to expand on that. Education, where he says that it is at its lowest, how can we revamp it? Because without quality education, this country is bound to fail. The countries of the world that have developed, the first thing they did is that they improved their education system. Be right back after this break. Don't go away.
Ever wondered where to have your events, host your guests, yet in the city center and can easily be accessed? At Turban Center, we have a conference and events center. We help you to host a variety of events. We have the main hall of 700 seaters, medium room of 150 seaters, boardroom for your outdoor meetings and open space for your designed event. We host the following: wedding meetings and wedding parties, project launches, auditions and casting, fellowships, presentations, birthday parties, baby showers, conferences and seminars, product launches and many more. Expect the best without limitation with a free parking space in the basement of the building. For booking, come to Tobani Center Building on Ginger Road opposite DFCU Bank after former Nando's on 2nd floor. Conference and Event Center, the golden standard for your next executive event.
Take a walk through life, display the game, make the chase like your flame. Take no chance, fight for success if you really want to be the best. My life, my rules, my choice, my stake, my bet, my win. My life, my rules, my choice, my stake, my bet, my win. My life, my love, my rule, my choice, my stake, my bet, my win.
Melbet, something you can bet on.
Amon Point Placement Uganda yeetaaga bawala n'abalenzi 6 okubayunga ku kampuni ezitwala abantu ekkata okukola mu Kata World Cup nga basecurity guards, omusaala obukadde 3 nga gy'emyaka okuva ku 21 okutuuka ku 4, ebyokulya n'okusula, obujjanjabi, tiketi ne visa bya bwereere. Zo interview n'okwewandiisa bigenda mu maaso ku ofiisi zaabwe Rubaga okumpi ne Popopo Hotel, ng'okumanya ebisingawo kuba ku noti 7 noti 9 777 533 ne noti 7 noti 9 777 534.
Your biggest business opportunity is here. It's the first edition of the PPDA Business Expo. Come and exhibit, sell and buy, and attend free skills development sessions. Learn how to start and manage a family business in farming. Find out how you can win tenders from government. Plus, discover investment opportunities. Join us from 8th to 10th July at Kololo Independence Grounds, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Don't miss performances by Shiba and Spice Diana at only 5,000 shillings. For more information, call 0704 627 696 or send us an email. This message is brought to you by PPDA and Partners.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching the Dialogue here on BTM TV. My name is Idrissa Muwonge. Still here with my panelists, Mr. Fagil Mandy, Mr. Autim Levi Akonapesa, and Dr. Rogers Bargayomwe. And we are still discussing matters, particularly about education. Education is very, very important because if the government doesn't ensure that teachers give quality education out there, then this is going to be a serious problem in the future. Good thing that the teachers called off the industrial action, but the question that still stands, that roams in our minds, is it that are they contented now? Are they going to do what is needed of them, required of them, while in the classroom? Mr. Fagili here and Dr. Rogers have already told us that there is a loophole on the supervisors. These people are actually literally not supervised. Mr. Otim.
Yes.
You're not a teacher, professional teacher.
I'm not a professional teacher.
He's a product of the education
But
system.
a product of the education system. When you are these three senior educationists.
I'm also a product of the senior educationists. First academic credits from the university. So.
If you're a product here, well, if I may ask Mr. Fagil to really evaluate you if really you're a good product. You would have told us that the products are also lacking. Eh? I asked him to give us a percentage, really. It's because when you say that, for example, graduates, they cannot express themselves. That's what you meant to say. I actually have witnessed what he's saying. I've appeared on various interview panels. You look at a graduate and you ask, okay, talk about yourself. This is somebody who cannot even speak, but have presented a paper that they have a degree in something. But they can't express themselves. So I concur with you on this. But Mr. Tim, the issue of motivation. I even heard the First Lady say that she was disappointed in the teachers. First of all, they should expect their reward from God. This is godly, being a teacher. Two, the government was paying them throughout COVID-19. But now, why is it that they're putting down the tools? They have failed her and they have also failed God. But teachers are also human beings. I want us to be realistic. They got the same markets. Just like a permanent secretary, just like a member of parliament who earns over 30 million. They send their children to school as well. Could be primary school teacher, but also his child goes up to university. These people also fall sick. And then they pay. They shouldn't express their dissatisfaction when they really feel that what they are earning cannot enable them to survive in this tight economy. Should they just keep quiet and die, in silence? Like the president was saying that the soldiers are not, coming out because the soldiers can't. Once they do that, that is going to be labeled as mutiny, and so they're enemies and they'll be put out. Teachers, should they die in silence?
No, you see, the fact that the teachers have been in a 3 weeks industrial action, it is an indication that they're not satisfied with whatever they were offered or whatever conditions that they are living in. But I don't want us to deviate from the fact that equally the education sector in Uganda has really been lacking, and it is one of the most affected, but also being I think one of the top 5 or top 3 heavily funded sectors. And I expect that with the heavy funding, at least there should be a response on some of these hindrances and shortfalls. But for the fact that my senior fagil, Mandy, the education consultant and senior lecturer here, have highlighted on the education, sector being on the low end. Of course, we're being affected as a country that rather has one of the highest, or the biggest institutions of learning. Being I think among the top 5 in the whole of Africa. That's Makerere University. We expect it to be at least one that would produce competent, graduates or students. But we also dissatisfaction within some people that assess and analyze this. That one, we have resorted to producing results that rather are dependent on scholar examinations. You only sit and then if they copy and paste. We've been in those systems before. We have seen scenarios where schools have to do copy and paste, orientation. I think 1 month towards the final examinations. They bring this, they call them the vigilators, and then there are those scholars, the scouts that come and then orient you on how you're going to write your exams and so on. But where
scouts orienting them?
No, of course, you see, there are people that towards the end,
they're like coaches, really.
Coaches,
like
yes.
the coaching, which is spread.
Coaching, yes. So some of these are people that have access to some of the information that should rather be concealed or confidential. So when they come and then orient you, and you see that it's just a copy and a packed effect, that's not what we want as government. As a government, should be advocating for syllabus that are going to orient our children from the grassroots. If a child is 5 years and is in elementary school or nursery, you should be able to make toys. Yeah. How are you going to be innovative? How are you going to be creative? If you are someone that wants to be a business-oriented person, expose them to business.
Yeah.
As should we all be studying these histories, biologies, and geographies? How are you going to cluster the two? If the child, if you assess, as you see, when you look at countries like China, look at countries like the US, the way they nurture their children differs. I've given birth to a son, and in his room, there are aeroplanes, there are rockets, things that are more of engineering. The child picks interest each and every day. The mind is changing. The mind is looking at these things, and then the child is beginning to become curious. Curiosity has very, strong effect on anyone. So you become curious, and that's how creativity and innovation comes about. How did this come, and what did they put? How did they make this toy? So the child now is going to ask the father, that this rocket, how do we do it? The father will point him to the TV and say, you see how they make the rockets. You see it's fly to the moon. And he's already changed the mindset that I want to be one that is going to be able to manufacture, make this, or engineer this. That is the type of mindset that you need for any African institution of learning at the moment. And we don't want a scenario where we have enacting the child with a lot of, subjects, and then he's studying and he's confused. At the end of the day, doesn't know what he wants. And then you find one parent wants him to be a doctor, the other wants him to be a lawyer, the uncle wants him to be a teacher. So he's just in the middle and he's not decisive. So I think at one point, or some extent, I want to concur with what my senior Fagil said and my brother here, Rogers, that the education sector is lacking. We need to put in more emphasis as a government to make sure that we produce the best results that we want for our country. If you want proper innovators, people that are going to manufacture and create vehicles, to be at the forefront of science, this should be what we should be embarking on. Change of syllabus. If someone is to study, by the way, I'm very happy with the new syllabus, with the new curriculum.
The learner center?
Yes, the learner center. Give the child, the teacher offer 20%, so the child should go for 70%. Yeah. Go and do research, do intensive research. Where you fail as an individual, form groups. The groups are going to impact on you. And where you as the group fail to understand a certain issue, go to the teacher and say, we want a concept, or we want you to guide us on how we should handle this. That is that you are building creative and innovative minds.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Rogers, looks like the three of you gentlemen, you sound like our current education system does not match modern world challenges. So how best can we revamp it?
Yeah,
Can we
before Rogers comes in, let's look at the rate of unemployment in the youth sector.
You want us to blame it on our education?
You finish graduation, you have a master's, and then you have like 2 degrees and a master's and so on, and you're not employed by government. One is because they're asking for 12-year experience, they're asking for 5 years experience. Where are you going to get it?
And I will talk in solution.
But
to
you
the
have
problem.
you have the papers, you have the qualifications,
But not the
experiences.
skills
The
and
skills are
abilities.
nice.
Yes.
So
And
rather focus on more of skilling this,
Yeah.
other than having someone go and finish 13, almost a half of his
So they should instead ask for the skills but not the experience.
No, skill.
No,
both
they
the
ask for experience
Yes.
because experience is supposed to have equipped you with more skills, better attitudes, and more knowledge. Are you getting me? But even before the experience, when you qualify, how many of those skills and knowledge and attitudes do you have?
Yeah. When you talk about experience, just reminds me of an Indian man we're listening to, and it was really challenging. He told us about a young lady who appeared before them, and she wanted to be employed. She had just graduated from university, and the gentleman was like, okay, what experience do you have? And the young girl was like, I don't have any experience. The man was like, are you sure? You have experience. Tell me what you do. That I have not done anything. What about your parents? Oh, my father is a farmer. What does he do? He grows potatoes. Potatoes. Do you eat them or he sells them? No, he sells them. Okay. How many sacks does he sell? Oh, he supplies 5 schools. How long has he been doing that? For the last 10 years. So does he go the garden alone? No, with me. Because your father's been going with you there. So you are responsible for all the people who have been eating, and they have grown because you've been feeding them. You fed a very big percentage of these people. So sometimes people don't know where the experience lies.
Exactly.
Coming, Dr. Rogers, but about the education system. You're just talking about it, the three of you gentlemen. But now I want you to really enter. When you say that doesn't address the modern challenges, what is it that is lacking?
No,
should we scrap off the teaching of the Nilotis and the Bantu migration?
No.
Can I? Let me feel it.
When you say doesn't match the modern challenge.
As point of information, okay, that the National Curriculum Development Center of Uganda, 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, came out with a research that revealed that by the time our students leave senior 4, by the time learners leave senior 4, they lack 13 generic skills. They lack 13 skills that matter in generating other skills. For example, they lack the skill of communication. They lack the skill of literacy. They lack the skill of self-management. They lack the skill of planning and problem solving. They lack the skill of team building, teamwork, group work discussion. They lack the skill of curiosity or investigation. They lack the skill of handling numbers and figures. They lack the skill of time management. The 13, that's the product that comes from senior 4. And that's what got them to change the curriculum so that we may begin achieving those skills. And I keep saying that is only senior 4. But remember that all the senior 6s and senior 5s and universities have gone through. So they go with those missing skills and they are never equipped with them. So you can go ahead. That was the point of information.
And to continue with that, look at in the US, for example, the highest, where you see the highest billionaires. Like Otim said, for them what they did, they put the resources into innovation. That's how you see this Zuckerberg, a 17-year-old, because he's innovating, he becomes a billionaire. Yeah. Because instead of saying you put money, is it in science? These scientists you call scientists, they are even actually teaching history of physics. But if you put money in innovation, Bill Gates never finished his university degree in Harvard. For him, when he knew the concept, even the first lesson, he left Harvard. He got it then. He didn't wait to have 2 PhDs like me. So that's what they are saying. But the other thing which is also lacking as a nation is what we call, and that's why you see many people are looking for exorbitant salaries. We should go back to what they call national service. I think Nigeria has something like that. And I've worked a bit in Canada, I'm family. What they do, these bazungus, volunteering is a must. Is counted before you are given any competent job. In Uganda here, people are asking for exorbitant. I saw the salaries of the local government leaders, and I'm like, sincerely, we have to be also realistic. I'm a workers leader, but some of the things these people are asking are so exorbitant. What they do in the West is before you go and work anywhere, you have to have hours of volunteering. And national service would help us. Something like in Nigeria, you go in a location which is different from where you were born. If you are from the West, they will take you in the North. And one, it will help you to know how people in the North, they are different tribes. In Tanzania, Nyerere tried to use it. For him, he did Ujamaa. Rudimentally, he mixed them. But this thing is necessary. First of all, any worker will now has to have a concept of what an average Ugandan, wherever, in whichever corner, before you ask for 15 million as a cow, you should know how a person in Rwenzori or in Koboko lives before you start demanding for 15 million from the national treasury. So, as most of
don't you think it goes back to government, which has hesitated to install the minimum wage?
No, but that's where the government has come up to streamline on some of these policies.
Yes.
But because these people are talking about who are demanding for those exorbitant pays, they are comparing themselves to others whom they feel that they are not working. But
I'm giving a solution. I'm giving a solution when national service comes in, whereby people will voluntarily go around and even work for nothing or peanuts. First, I will tell you that I'm in the education sector. But
they are facilitated. Those people are facilitated.
No, I will tell you.
Somebody doesn't move, doesn't put in his transport, or doesn't burn his fuel every day.
What exactly you call it facilitation, but it is not like payment. They give you a facility, they give you transport, but you teach without necessarily getting any salary. That's what we call voluntary service. And every national, every Ugandan should give that. I will tell you, I've personally earned most of my money first by giving voluntary service. And I'm in the education system.
You earn by giving
almost voluntary
service. Giving voluntary service.
Yeah, but then later you learn the skill because, like Fagil said, the expert, you need the skill more than the money. And many of these people you see around, like, and unfortunately, our generation is dying because they need money more than the skill. He's talking about, we discuss here about teachers. These even in people training to be teachers, and they finish they graduate without being inspected. Without being supervised. They say teacher practice everywhere. They go and they are used as teachers, not they are, because when the private especially, they take up the people on teacher practice and they give them the classroom. No one is supervising them. The inspection, no, who is inspecting our schools? And that's why the quality is the lowest in the country ever since independence, because no one is supervising a
What
teacher.
should we do to bring it back to life? This is our country. We have a responsibility to have things move on well. What is it we should be doing now? You are an educationist.
I agree that one, we should have like strengthen the inspection part of the education. And all public service. They used to be, I remember when we grew up, the times when I used to hear the expert Fagil Mandy, they used to be what they call inspectors of schools, and there were many, and they were present.
If they would come,
Yeah.
you would see the panic they had.
Teacher are shaking. I saw that myself.
But
when I was
I'm
saying-
sure if they are now, if they
I
are now,
remember, yeah. You see how a teacher would shake and panic. You know that
But
the
also,
inspectors
you
are
know, the
coming.
unfortunate thing is the unregulated private sector has moved away these kind of things in the public institution, because the private schools are not inspected. So even the private schools, the public schools have moved away from the inspection. But yet these inspectors should inspect both private and government.
Okay. Mr. Fagil,
Yeah.
in this so-called privatization of education, we have had so many private schools now coming up. This has commercialized education. Education has been commercialized. It is more of a business now. You talked of inspectors who used to come to schools. They would come when they are not even corrupt, but these days they go to collect their fuel. A school head teacher or director knows that when he or she learns that inspectors are coming, what he or she does is just to prepare some money, put some money aside, because he knows, after all, they have come to pick something. So this corruption has really eaten up everything. But going back to what you call real teaching, somebody who starts up a school, one, his target is to make a profit. How do you make a profit? Is have increasing the number of students in your school. How do you do that? You have to ensure that these students perform well, because good academic performance attracts bigger numbers, and the more money you'll get. So here you don't expect a teacher to do what you are telling, for example, allocating time for what you call physical education. No, every time should be allocated for only academics. That's how we came up without schools not having time for such co-curricular activities because of this commercialization of education. How best do you think, and the government has actually lagged behind on regulating these schools, because look, when, for example, it comes to tuition, school can hike to up to like 3 million. Government has nothing to say. We are in a liberal economy. The schools can charge for as much as they want.
Okay. Now, I think the beginning point is one, as a country, and I mean everybody in Uganda. I mean political party leaders, religious leaders, all technocrats. We need to actually set a system which I call the work culture in Uganda. Presently, we don't have a work culture in Uganda that is defined, and this is what I mean. In the earlier days, for example, when NRA had just taken power, there was a word called revolutionary methods of work. And I knew what those meant. Then they included time management, they included going down to the ground, they included being people-oriented, they included no intrigue, they included supervision and monitoring. What are the methods of Uganda today? Even when somebody is training at the university, or even when you're working on a TV station like this one, which methods do you know that these are characteristic of Uganda and this is how we do our things? Presently, there are no clear ways. We are just haphazardly picking on anything. We don't have clear. Even when a child is growing up, the child doesn't know. I'll give you a thing, like, you remember the late Professor Nsibambi. Most people will remember how he was a very good timekeeper.
Yeah.
Why did he stand out as a good timekeeper? Because the rest of the workforce, the people, have forgotten time management. Are you getting me? It is no longer a matter of our work culture. We need to establish clearly, scientifically, how we work. How we work will influence every worker in every sector in Uganda. Are you getting me? That one is not there. Then, of course, when you come back to the schools, the private schools are doing their own way, doing their things, because the entire system is not cohesive enough. It's not put together. For you, even as a journalist working on a TV, which you can explain to the people that this is how we work in Uganda. You are not supposed to spend so long without inspecting a worker. You are not supposed to work so long without having a staff meeting. You are not supposed to work so long without counting and auditing. Are you getting me? Now those things are not being done. So when they are not being done and you privatize the education, which originally was good, because privatization was recommended by even St. Zakajubi when they were working on the education white paper. because government alone could not provide the service. Are you getting me? And also it was among the 10-point programs that we had to expand beyond the government and include private people. Are you getting me? But the system was started and it has not been supervised again because we don't have a clear work culture. So let's work on a clear work culture. That's why earlier I said in the work culture you must begin with what sort of capacities do you build in your population. Are you getting me? Build the population. Build every man and woman in Uganda, every child in Uganda. Are you getting me? Shape them, guide them with a clear work culture, with a clear ideology, with a clear target. Are you getting me? And dream. That's why the America today, you talk of the American dream. What is the Ugandan dream? Clearly, which is understood. The fact is, we don't have a clear even dream, because the dream now should dictate on how we, you and me,
the government has a manifesto. Does that manifesto?
But the manifesto comes
reveal our
it is not
dream.
believed in. No, I mean, people are not taught to believe in it. Are you getting me? We are weak on that because we have been weak on setting systems, and I want us to wake up. Because we have got bad systems, that's why teachers who are not supposed to go on strike went on strike. Are you getting? Because of poor systems of analysis of the workers' conditions of service or keeping the images, those have collapsed. So let's revise the systems. Are you getting me? Then, of course, the private schools will work within a framework. I want to share with you, fellow teacher, and this young man here, Dynamic. Are you getting me? That we have in Uganda, I'm telling you, as far as I counted when I was still commissioner for inspectorate, okay, Ministry of Education, we have more than 13 inspectorates in Uganda. But all of them are silent. We have got an inspectorate in local government, we have got an inspectorate in public service, we've got an inspectorate in health, we have got an inspectorate in internal affairs, we've got an inspectorate in the Ministry of Education, we've got an inspectorate in the police, we have got an inspectorate in the CMI, something more than. Now all those inspectorates were supposed to look at government service and government working and how they work and take action, plus guiding. But tell me, when you have that, the only group you are hearing of now is the IGG. But the IGG cannot do the job of all those.
State information from the
are you getting me? IGG needs all those inspectors to be working so that they may continue now and concentrate on government programs. So without that structure, scientific structure set up with and equipped with the right workers, you cannot have any service running strongly. That's why one of our biggest weakness in Uganda is service delivery.
Let me give you information, expert Fagil. Yeah. The best school for the last, I think, 20 years, it's a private school. I have visited it on several times. It has one classroom like this, about 1,000 to 2,000 students. You know it. It's always hitting dead headlines. These students, you talked of PE, they don't have any. You even see the students are kept like they are kept like broilers.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah, and it is the best. That's why I'm telling you, education is at its weakest. In results, when
they are performing well academically.
Exactly.
That's exactly what has gone wrong. Which academics?
Which academics is this?
Is it the academics to develop the brains so that the brains
where
can work better?
You have 10,000 students
work.
In a square, in an acre, and you're keeping them as a broiler. And you say that is the education system.
Do you know that most schools have embarked on you have to pay for sports activities? Yeah. If you don't pay, you don't participate?
No.
Those days it was free. You have the willing as a man, energetic, you're going for cross country, 21 kilometers, you say as a young man, let me try this. Yes. If I collapse, the school truck is there, will pick me up, bring me back to the school. It was free.
But now you have to pay for that.
When in Teso College, we used to participate, it was free. We would walk from Teso College, that is around 11 kilometers, to Soroti town, to Soroti city, to participate in the sports activities.
That a student has to buy a t-shirt of 50,000, even to take.
That's the commercialization I was talking about.
We didn't have sports wear, but we would put on our trousers.
Okay.
Fold the trousers.
Gentlemen, we are left with 30 minutes, and I would like us to use them on the Kiswahili. that has been, adopted by the Ugandan government. One has been made mandatory in primary schools, I think stretching from primary 4. And those kids are going to be examined, that is on UNEB. So UNEB will be having now 5 papers from the previous 4. Also in secondary schools has been made mandatory. Now it didn't only stop at schools, but also cabinet ministers, they'll be undertaking Kiswahili lessons. That's according to the first Deputy Prime Minister. She said that the first hour of the cabinet meeting was going to be dedicated to Kiswahili learning. She went on to ask even those ones, the Uganda Airlines, to adopt the use of Kiswahili. That is when they're addressing their passengers, talk to them in Kiswahili. Mr. Tim,
yes.
Each one of us is going to use 8 minutes.
Nashukuru sana kwa hii muda Afrika
tunafurahi sana.
Inaendelea mbele kwa umoja.
Twende mbele. That is the motto. It's a very good, initiative. We have all been praying for this moment because partly me, I'm Ugandan, my mom is from Kenya. So I think that's how I know this. But it is a good thing. And of course, you see, for us to identify as the East African blog, and then also to create more, employment opportunities, we are going to see what they call cross border, learning, initiatives. From we have Swahili teachers from Tanzania and Kenya come into Uganda and Rwanda plus Congo. Then we have equally English teachers going to teach there. So Kiswahili being adopted as a national language for East Africa is something that is going to come not only to identify us as a community, but also to ease communication. And then also, when there is a easy flow of a similar language, of course you expect the transactions of business to flow. So me, I appreciate it. Let's adopt it, and I don't even know why we delayed. This should be from nursery. Let the children begin gambling. Teach them how to grow.
The question is, yes, do we have enough manpower? Do we have the capacity?
The manpower will come. How many people know Kiswahili?
In Uganda?
Yes, how many?
They are few. Actually, it's the reason why the government is adopting it.
But how many?
Because looks like we are the odd man out in the community. Yes. Other member states of the community, at least they have a big population that can speak Kiswahili. But for us in Uganda, very few
but
can.
How many institutions are going to embark on teaching and nurturing some of these people to go and also, impact the community?
That also brings us to the next question, because this, mandatory teaching of Kiswahili begins effective next year, 2023. Now, is that enough time for these institutions we're talking about to have
some of us who
trained enough teachers to teach in these schools?
Just like the president said that if you cannot afford the bread, you go for Muogo. Everybody ran to Muogo. So now, if they have said that effective next year, right now is the time to go to class, 6 months, and you have a certificate in Kiswahili, and you are in the class teaching Kiswahili as a language. These are, but do you know that we also have teachers in Chambogo? Like, you major, you're a teacher, maybe arts of education, but major in languages. My young sister is a teacher, but majored in languages.
One thing we should agree on, Uganda may geographically appear small, but it is not actually small when you look at the number of schools that we have. We are talking about so many schools.
No, but it is an
in this country.
It is an opportunity. It's even an opportunity for the arts teachers to add, because that's going to be credit. That one, we want the Kiswahili teachers, but added advantage, you should have borrowed in the system. So that's an added advantage. That is also another pay increase. You are going to teach from senior 1 up to senior 5.
You're being sarcastic.
These are levels, but that's not being sarcastic. That's being real. That's being real. Yeah. There's nothing like being sarcastic in such situations. You tell me that anybody who has studied French, who has studied Spanish, and is studying Chinese, in the Makerere University we have Chinese, Mandarin. Is that being sarcastic? No. We have to learn. And the Chinese have come and they have impacted on our own Makerere students, and we have Makerere students, Africans are teaching Chinese in Makerere University. Isn't that being realistic? The manpower will come. You yourself, you're a teacher. If you embarked on a certificate of Kiswahili and you are teaching, is that wrong?
I'm already a teacher.
So as a government, as people, we also have to be realistic. That one, some of the things are not only but to benefit you. You might not have employment here, but you can have employment in Tanzania. You can have employment in in Kenya. For example, my father was teaching physics and chemistry in Kenya. Arab Moi, Gaza, and then Lugulu. He taught in Kakamega. He taught for almost 15 years. He got a United Nations voluntary scheme, and they offered him a job in Botswana, Namibia, for 1 year. He went and taught there. But you ask him right now, he is very good in Kiswahili, he's good in French, he knows languages. That is the advantage that you will have as a person. That's being realistic.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Rogers, adopting Kiswahili as now a language that is even going to be examined by the National Examinations Body. Do we really need this language?
Yeah, Uganda delayed. I always insist, and I give credit to government now for adopting Swahili. We really delayed. And I would want to believe there is one unconscious way of learning. Personally, how I learned the little Kiswahili, Najua, is through my father, who was working with Fagil Mandy as a district administrator. I had escorts, and they would speak Swahili. That's the only way
So
we
you
would
learned
communicate.
from the soldiers.
And I learned my Swahili, and there is no word you can speak in Swahili and I don't understand.
Are you sure?
And I can communicate many. So what I believe we should open, apart from also saying that the human resource is not ready, we should open, there should have been a free movement of labor, like he talked about, by now across East Africa. Because it is funny that we've signed that protocol, but it is not active. But as people move around, the easiest way, by the way, Edrisa, for you to learn Swahili, is you go to Zanzibar, not even to Mombasa, go to Zanzibar and spend there 2 months. You will definitely learn Swahili. So
Go to Mombasa.
So, because Zanzibar, no one hears any other language. They don't
Apart
even,
from Kiswahili.
they don't hear English. Do you get it? So, for communication, for East Africa to communicate together, that is very vital. And we delayed. So, government should be deliberate, even in making sure that our workforce goes and skills. And at this time, be able to, because, for example, you're talking about being ready with workers for Swahili. This is the time to implement free movement of go to Kenya and Tanzania and get those Swahili.
Do we have the capacity
Yes.
to bring those teachers here?
It happened with Rwanda.
Have
you
you
noticed
failed to
that?
satisfactorily pay your own
But
here.
we're not afraid.
No,
They're
we are
only
not-
asking for an
Yes, you are. They are staging industrial actions year in, year out.
Let me first
How are they
highlight, let me
staging
first
industrial
highlight
action?
before I'm diverted. Let me first highlight the point before I'm diverted. Kigali was from Francophone,
Anglophone.
Anglophone. They came to Uganda, picked enough teachers, paid them, enhanced their payment. And right now, they are even member of Commonwealth. Like, actually, they are the chair, the Kagame is the chairman of Commonwealth. So, and it didn't take more than 10 years. Uganda, we have Kenya and Tanzania.
How many schools are we talking about here in Rwanda, Dr. Rogers? We are talking about Uganda. You're comparing it to Rwanda, which is the size of Karamoja.
No,
Actually, it's
we
more
are
than
talking
Karamoja.
about 2 states. We have
It's
Tanzania
practically
and
impossible.
Kenya.
I won't tell you. It's practically impossible. And everybody here on this show knows that. It's practically impossible for the government to go to neighboring countries like you're suggesting, to Kenya and Tanzania, bring teachers from there and bring them here to serve here. You have no capacity to pay them.
Don't we have Tribune teachers somewhere?
It's
Chuban.
impossible. You
Within
cannot
East
say.
African community?
The what?
Don't we have the Tribune teachers and Tribune doctors?
They are there.
Aren't there Ugandan teachers in Rwanda and Ugandan teachers in Kenya? This is the export.
No, let's take the statistics. We need about 10,000 Swahili teachers to change here. Now, you want to tell me that Uganda can't pay 10,000 Swahili teachers? Just give them even $1 million shillings. People are going to come from Tanzania and Kenya. And you enhance the ones we have here. And you put up for me, my only thing is this Shimon, where now there is a shopping mall. That should be now a university, would be now a Swahili kind of university teaching. So this thing can be done if we are purposeful and if we direct. But I welcome the idea and thank you, Cabinet. You know, you say that I give credit where it's due.
Okay. Let's now listen from the senior educationist.
Before the senior comes in, you see, for me, a senior, let's take advantage of this and put up a Swahili institution.
Why not?
With your jokes, Mr.
They are not jokes. Really. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
That's the proposal you're giving to senior Fagil.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes. First of all, umoja ni nguvu.
Okay.
When you are together, you are stronger. Agali awamu gegalume nyama. A language is one major unifying factor, whether we like it or not. And one of the problems we've been suffering from, even in Uganda, that even we are doing this program in English, because it's the only language that can cut across all the tribes we have in Uganda. Are you getting me? So if East Africa can come out with a language practically to answer the problem, to solve the problems which are there, because we are not starting Kiswahili teaching now because of a luxury. No, it is an absolute need. No matter how much money is required to do that, let it be found, because Ugandans are moving in fellow East African countries. They are doing business, they are working there, they are studying there. This is one language which is being introduced now for real practical purpose. Nothing academic, but to do work. Kuchapa kazi. That's why we are beginning this. So me, I would like to congratulate government for coming out. It has been rather slow, but let's forget the past. If they have come out with the idea, let it be streamlined. And all of you listening in, watching here, the teachers, learn that language very quickly and begin teaching it. That's another employment opportunity. Number two, as you are saying, okay, those of you who can start, I know a friend of mine who has got a Kiswahili training place on the Winton Road on near the National Culture. Are you getting me? Those people who can begin training now, train now. You've heard Kiswahili is going to be compulsory. Watatoka wapi wafundisi? Watatoka kwa nyinyi wenyewe. Begin learning now. Government will look out. Don't be surprised how many people know Kiswahili, but they were just keeping it there.
Like using it.
There are many.
So they are getting employment opportunities.
I think
now.
The most important thing is for us to have identified the need. And the need is real. It is related to direct life. Are you getting me? People will come. People are there. People will be trained. I am sure government will have a clear program of getting people. And all of us, I mean, as you were saying, why not? Why can't I start a Kiswahili training school? Why not? Why can't you start one? Are you getting me? Instead of depending on the people.
I'm not me mwalimu already.
By the way, ile program ya next weekend inakuja hii wiki.
Katika Kiswahili tu.
Uchape Kiswahili.
Hata wewe.
Sawa, Kiswahili endelee mbele.
Mwenzetu doctor, yeye hawezi kuongea Kiswahili.
Huyu anajua Kiswahili.
Unajua
alikueleza yeye alijua Kiswahili kwa askari wangu. Sasa naendelea na Kiswahili yake. Moja lakini chakula etapata.
Who teaches the soldiers how to speak Swahili? They just environment, the environment.
And the instructors use it as a language from the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ukiingia hivi pamoja na wanakupatia silaha, wanaambia wewe, "Halo, kama uko hapa tunafanyisha Kiswahili, twende tu hapo."
And by the way, as we are discussing this, moderator and my fellow panelists, one of the problems facing Africa is unity. We have not come together. We have not brought all the natural resources we have got. Africa is one of the most God-endowed continent on earth. But we have not exploited those natural resources because we cannot communicate with each other. We cannot talk with each other. And even the politics and understanding and ideologies and mindsets have not been synchronized. Are you getting me? Kiswahili is one major step to bring together East African countries, to make people find it easier to live there and work there and exploit the natural resources there. That one might go. Otherwise, how shall we create another, an African language? Unless we begin with one and we go on. The more we unite parts of Africa together, the faster Africa will grow.
Actually, Kiswahili has been highly recognized. That's by the African Union. It's a language that is spoken in over 24 African countries.
Absolutely.
It even was recognized by the UNHCR. There is an International Kiswahili Day.
Even United Nations.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So it's a language that indeed you will have to.
So sasa tumeamuka. We have woken up.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gentlemen, let each one of you give his or her parting shots rather. Doctor, what is your parting shot?
My parting shot is that, one, we thank God for the Swahili, but in the same Swahili conversation, I insist that we should have national dialogue like we are having here to talk about the issues affecting a worker and now not segregating worker cutting across board. We talk about issues of minimum wage. We talk about not only, because right now what we are looking at is 1 year, 2 years, but we talk about the long term. And we plan for our children. Otherwise, we are going to give them a country which is not ready for them. So I thank God for the fact that this conversation is beginning. Let it just not end with the UNATO, but let it be across.
So Tim?
Yeah, mine is a cut across on very many challenges that have been affecting us as citizens of Uganda. And I'm also grateful to the government for adopting the Kiswahili, because I think to us we really needed it more than any other person. Some of us who didn't take the initiative to study languages when we're in the education, patterns. This is an opportunity even as an adult or someone that has already existed, but even if you're working, you can still go and acquire some of these are now skills that are needed. But we are much grateful for to BTM as a TV for giving us the platform to always continue airing to the citizens on daily challenges and what affects us as citizens. It is something that we really appreciate and very much grateful. God bless, and happy Idi Dua Mbaraka to my Muslim friends and everyone outside there.
Okay. Mr. Fagil.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fellow teachers, I love you honestly. Okay, I love the teaching profession. One time I wanted to be an accountant when I was in senior 4. You get me? But I eventually went to teaching because I am a designer of human beings. You are a designer of human beings and a guide of human beings. Let's go on with that spirit. And then also the teachers unions and all this, let's look beyond the salary. Let's look at the total image of the teacher. How do we build it so that we become the true transformers of the world today? We need that. And then of course on government, please seriously, let's begin looking at the workforce as a team, as you have said, and also on top of that, let's focus on the teacher to change the image, because with the wrong teacher, and then of course finally, as we are talking about education, please let's go beyond country-wise. Let's go beyond education on the in the classrooms only. No, let's go beyond into the education in the community, the education at the home. The 3 schools must be raised today. If we don't, we cannot change the worker of Uganda. And if we don't change the work of Uganda, we shall not build Uganda afresh. We shall not build Africa. God bless all of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Roger. Thank you, Mr. Tim. And thank you, Mr. Fagil. Thank you, our viewers, for tuning in BTM TV. Idi Mubarak. Asanteni sana watazamaji wote. Thank you so much. Mungu abarike na wapendeza Idi njema. Kwaherini.
Tunashukuru.
You know it.